my last week at work and also BSSM, the Bethel School. And I.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
Sounds like you're really busy, hey?
Oh my goodness. I start an internship online that I will be working until 2 in the morning. So it's,
Okay.
God is good. I just need to say, God is good.
That is good. Absolutely. Yeah, well, I'm good too. I've got 1 or 2 more weeks of my classes for the spring semester, and then I have a break too. So
Okay, we can do it.
we can do it. We'll do it together.
We can do it. It's what I keep saying. The last part is the harder because we are more tired,
Yeah.
but it's going to be the last push.
Great.
I just keep thinking, like, I keep my eyes focusing the Lord, and I take everything like honestly, like step by step. I don't think too much after this class. I just lunch, and then I will think about the next, and that is how I'm doing.
Amen. Hey, rest in the Lord.
Yeah. So where are you studying?
Studying at Chafer Theological Seminary.
Oh wow, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm
Really
just
good.
finishing my 3rd year.
Yeah, it's deep studies, definitely.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. All right. Well, today we have another speaking and pronunciation class. So we're going to do reduced question forms. So these are going to be focused on question sentences because sometimes when we are asking a question, we use a reduced spoken form, meaning that we shorten the words and compact them together.
Mm-hmm.
So first, let's start with just some pronunciation practice. I'm sure you know all of these words, so let's just practice saying them. Can you say the first word for me?
Expert,
Good.
grade, initial, issue, partner, research, a team.
Good. Good. Research, resource, and team. So that one, resource, we want to hit the O in there, resource. Other than that, you did great. All right. Let's practice speaking some numbers as well. So when you see these numbers, sometimes we say them a little different. So if you can start with the first one, and what number is that?
I think it's 1 million.
A little more than that.
A ver, sí, no, 1,000 million, sorry.
It's okay. So this one is 1 billion with a B.
Oh, okay. 1,000 million is a billion. Okay.
Yeah, that's a billion in English. 1,000 million is correct, but we call it a billion. Okay.
6,700,000.
Good.
1,200. I don't know the difference between one and the other, like one, okay, 1,200 and then the other with no.
It's kind of tricky, and it's not a hard and fast rule, but usually when there's a comma, we'll say 1,200. When there's no comma, we'll say 1,200.
Okay. So 3,600, if not, is 3,600, sorry.
Perfect, and 3,600. Good. All right. And can you say these years?
2021,
Mhm.
28, I would say. 1995, 17-1.
So really close. These, the ones with zeros are kind of hard. So 2021 is perfect. 1995, we say the two numbers and the two numbers. But when there's zeros involved, they get kind of difficult to say. So for the 2000s, the early 2000s, 2001 to 9, we actually say 2000 as if we're reading it. So 2008 is that one. And
Okay.
then when it's starting with a teen, anywhere from about, well, actually, even from like 100 AD all the way to 1900 AD, instead of saying 0, we say O, like the letter O. So the last one is going to be 1701.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Good. Yeah, those aren't taught very often. But if you say it like that, 1701, that's how probably 99% of people will say it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, and then just for pronunciation, I'm saying these two numbers together.
13 and 30,
Mhm.
14 and 40,
Good.
15 and 50, 16 and 60.
Very good. Good enunciation. All right. So with those pronunciation practices out of the way, let's look at our reduced question forms. So when we're asking a question with a WH question word, we also need the auxiliary verbs of either do or are. And those do or are verbs are inverted with the subject. So this all becomes one functioning unit phrase. And oftentimes, when we're speaking, it'll sound like a single word because in our minds, it serves a single function. So this, what do you study? We don't enunciate every syllable here. We combine them all together. What do you study? So do you want to try saying that? What do you study?
What do you study?
Good. And it's a little tricky because the R does the same exact sound. Doesn't change much. So what are you planning?
What are you planning?
Yeah, so try to pronounce it less.
This is what I asked you.
What are you? Yeah.
Okay, this is similar at the one that I asked you, like,
Mhm.
what are you studying? I
Mhm.
pronounce everything, but that will be, what are you studying?
So what are you study? What are you planning? This is more natural for how we say it. It's not as natural for us to pronounce every word here.
Okay.
So let's try to think of some other questions. We want a what question word with do you. So after that, it's just going to be a simple verb. So how about something like, what do you like reading? Or what do you do on Sundays? Can you think of any questions that you can ask using what do you as what do you?
Yeah. What are you thinking about?
Good. What are you thinking about? So that's going to be the
And,
present progressive one. What are you thinking about?
yeah. And with the first, I will say, I don't know. What do you read?
Mhm. What do you read? Good. So notice these are going to be mostly intransitives. These what do you plus just a single verb. Or it's going to be a transitive, but this what is asking for the subject, or rather the object.
Yeah.
So when you hear just a basic base verb, study, we know that it's a do here. And when we hear the ing, we know that it's an are here. But the are
Okay.
and the do get absorbed into this wadiya and you don't hear the difference between do and are anymore. Okay, let's try this one. Who plus do you? So instead of saying, who do you like to study with? We'd say, who do you like to study with? So try saying this one.
Who do you like study with?
Good. And now try to say as if it's one single word. Who do you?
Who do ya?
Who do you like to study
ya?
with? Who do you?
Who do ya?
Mhm.
Who do ya? Who do you like to study with? It's
Yeah.
so weird. Sorry, it's weird.
It is weird, but it's natural pronunciations. So how about one? Who do you like to go to the movies with? Or who do you like to talk to?
Mm-hmm.
Think of some more questions with who do you?
Who do you like to talk with?
Yes. Who do you like to talk with? Good. Yeah, they're funny, but very common. So here's another. What do you? Or where do you, rather? Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go?
Good. And let's see, how about where do you study?
Sorry.
It's okay. Where do you go to study?
Where do you study?
Good.
Where do you study?
Good. All right. When do you?
Mm-hmm.
When do you go home?
When do you go home?
Good.
Go home.
When do you
When
go?
do you? When do you?
Mhm. How about when do you have free time?
When do you free time?
When do you have free time?
When do you have free time?
Good. All right, I think this is the last one here. Why do you?
Why do you? It's so weird. Sorry, I just laughing, but it's because I'm also a little tired.
That's okay.
Why do you always wear pink?
Good. Why do you always wear pink?
That is very American, I guess. Huh? British will don't speak like that.
They have their own ways of shortening these.
Uh-huh.
They also make a lot of shortcuts with their pronunciation. I think actually their present tense and past tense kind of gets confusing in question forms, but we'll look at past tense in a second. This is our last present tense one. How do you like the class? How do you?
How do you?
Can you practice this one?
Un momento. I have a, somebody was asking me something for my other class.
Okay.
How do you like the class? How do you like the class?
Good. How do you like the class? All right. For past tense, instead of a da ya, we're gonna get a did ya. So we get di and ja. This is the sound for past tense, and even this sometimes gets even shorter to hoja. So, what did you think of the movie becomes what did you think of the movie?
What did you think of the movie?
Good. And we can do it even shorter. What'd you think of the movie?
What do you think of the movie?
Good. So in the last one, we have all D sounds. In this one, we've got a J sound. Sometimes that's the only way to tell if it's a present tense question or past tense question. If you hear the J, it's a past tense question. Okay. Who did you goes to Huja. So who did you meet yesterday? Who'd you meet yesterday?
Who did you meet yesterday?
Yeah. Who'd you meet yesterday? Who'd you see on the bus the other day? You could say. Huja.
Who just sit on the bus last day?
Good. All right. Where did you goes to where did ya or where'd ya or where'd ya rather. So where did you find that book? Where did you find that book?
Where did you find that book? Where did you find that book?
Mm-hmm. And try the lower.
Find that book?
Where do you find that book?
Where did you find the book?
Good. All right. When did you learn about gardening? When did you learn about gardening?
Okay. When did you learn about gardening?
And when
did you learn about gardening?
Good. So when did ya and when do ya, sometimes the J and the A trades off its sound. All right. Why? Yeah.
What did you get a low grade?
Good. Why did you get a low grade? Very
Why
good.
did you get a low grade?
And how did you?
How did you like the video? How did you like the video?
Very good. All right. So here's explaining. If you hear the D sound, it's present tense. What do ya? If you hear the J sound, it's usually past tense. What ya? What did ya? All of that is going to be past. So let's practice with these 6 sentences. Can you ask the first one?
How did you work and study at the same time?
How did you? Next.
When did you start taking biology classes?
Good.
What did you think of the presentation?
Hang on, for number 2.
How did you study with? Oh.
On number 2, we say biology. Biology.
Oh, biology. Biology.
Biology.
Thank you.
3.
How did you study after class? What did you choose him as your partner? When did you move here from?
Good.
No,
so
where did you move here from?
Good.
When. Where did you?
That's good. That's good. Okay. So next we're going to try just some basic reading. And I'm using an academic resource so that we can practice saying harder words, some more complicated words. So we're just going to read one sentence at a time and then we'll check pronunciation. And since you're also Christian, I'm using a Christian resource. So I hope you don't mind.
Great. Okay.
So let's read one sentence and then we'll stop and see if everything is pronounced correctly.
The root of God's plan of redemption exists before the foundation of the world. 1 Peter 19:20. I'm not sure how you read scriptures.
Yeah.
1 Peter 1:19-20.
Yeah, so it's 1 Peter 1:19-20 or through 20. If it's just 2 verses, sometimes it's 19:2. If it's maybe 19 through 23, if it's more than just 2 verses connected. And here, foundation is foundation, like found something. Foundation. All right, can you read the next sentence?
Even before man was created, the lamb was provided.
Good, and that's provided.
Provided.
Perfect, okay. Next sentence.
Certainly before man sinned in the Garden of Eden, the lamb had already been provided.
Perfect. Okay, next sentence.
God did not have to scurry around seeing that plan. He could come up with when Adam and Eve rebelled against him.
Good.
So I am going to tell you, for me, read is a hard exercise. I'm dyslexic, so
Okay, that's okay.
in my language already is hard. In another language that is not mine, is double. double.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. But you're doing really great. I think you're doing a good job. Yeah. All right. So we got one more sentence here.
The lamb without spot or blemish had already been provided in the purpose and grand plan of God.
Good. Yeah, I think, and I've noticed it a few times, it's hard for you to hit the last ed on a past tense form. So let's go through one more time and just pronounce all of the past tense forms. Can you say existed?
Existent.
Good. And this X after the E almost has like a GZ sound. So like existed.
Oh, okay. Existent.
Yeah. And we'll do
So
that in spoken English.
Existent is like the X will sound like a X with S. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because we've got two vowels on either side, and that X really has two sounds, a K sound and an S sound together. So we separate them and put the sounds together with those vowels on either side, and it just makes it easier to say. So like existed.
Perfect. Okay.
We're the foundation of the world, even before man was. Can you say created?
Created.
Good. And again, that T almost becomes a D, created.
So when you know it's a D and when it sounds more like a T?
Usually when it's surrounded by vowels, it's going to soften the sound. So we've got
provided will be also the E, D sounds, but man seemed is with T.
Where is that?
Certainly before man sinned.
Sinned, yeah. So yeah.
So that will be T and the others are more D.
These are all going to be D sounds: created, provided, and sinned. Do I see any T's? Usually the T is not going to be around vowels. Then it's not going to be in a past tense, because when it's in a past tense, that T gets surrounded by at least one E. So if there's a vowel before the T, then it's going to be a D sound. And you can say created. It's not wrong. It's correct to use a T sound. But when we're speaking fast, we usually soften that T to a D when it's surrounded by vowels. All right. Provided God did not have to scurry around.
I ask him sometimes about the British accent because I will do my exam in Spain where they are more used to British. And last time I think that they noticed that my accent was more American. And to be honest, I'm not sure if, it's a Spanish people doing a test. Right. And I will say that maybe I don't know, I have a weird feeling, and that was just maybe me, that like they thought that because I have an American accent, I don't know, maybe they were not. I mean, I don't have an American accent, but definitely my English will sound different than as somebody who is hearing British all day. And I think that they got that in count somehow. Maybe no, but the teacher was really mean. Honestly, it was really mean.
That's not good. It's not good to have.
Yeah. No, that was not good. And I thought that, oh, maybe, of course I'm not doing it purpose, but maybe they think like, oh, look at her, she believed that, you know, she is American, or I don't know, it was something weird that that is why I asking about the British more, because I will try to, if you know, like if there is something that is in is British and American and whatever, they should accept English, American English as well.
Yeah.
But I feel a little, I don't know, and maybe it was just the teacher that I have that maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well, if
so
if
in
you have a question
yeah,
about
it's
it,
so
keep
weird.
asking. You can ask whenever you're wondering about the difference. And if I know, I mean, I'm not very good with England English, British English, but if I do know, or if I can make some kind of a distinction for you, I'll do my best.
Yeah, and I just for example, the end of verb will sound created with
Created.
B, and I don't sound that very well. That is something that probably in the exam they're going to be picky with things like that, like,
Yeah.
oh, your past didn't sound as a past sentence,
Yeah,
or whatever.
and that does stand out to the
Right.
English ear if we don't hear the past tense, because most of our verbs in speaking, we don't use the present tense that much. We could almost say that the base form of an English verb is actually in the past. When we're writing a sentence for an example, usually we put it into the past. So
Yeah.
we like past tense in English. Let's do one more past tense here. Rebelled.
Rebelled.
Good.
Rebelled.
Right. So there's almost like there's an accent here in the middle, E, rebelled. Good. All right.
Rebelled.
We have one more paragraph by this man, and then we're going to talk about your essay for a few minutes.
But
so it's first sentence.
In the fullness of in the fullness of time, God sent the lamb. Okay, déjame volver a empezar. In the fullness of time, God sent the lamb. Galatians 4:4, Titus 2:11.
Good. So this is kind of a hard sentence to say. Probably if I wrote it, I would use a comma, but he didn't. Can you identify the subject and verb here? Because that's going to help us know how to pronounce it.
I would say it's God who sent the lamb, and what is weird is the time. I was like not sure if it's God's time or what. That I get confused with that part.
Yeah, no,
in the fullness of time, I will. Yeah.
Let me use a whiteboard here, and I'll type that one out. Let's see. Yeah, so this sentence is kind of strange. If I wrote it, I would put a comma here. That would help us know how to say it. But we're not always going to encounter a sentence with perfect punctuation. So how we can know is here we've got a subject and a verb and an object. All of this is going to be extra information. And one way that I know that is that time is preceded by a preposition. So I know that this is going to be connected somehow to this, which is also part of a preposition. So this is an adverbial phrase. It's called an absolute.
And when I was reading also, because I take a time to do the syntaxes in my brain in English, is if I read in Spanish, the syntaxes is fast. You don't even think that. But when I was reading also, I was not sure if he wanted to say in God's time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was a little like, oh, it's God's time or the time of God, you know, because
Mhm.
my dyslexia also is like, oh no, and then when I stop and you tell me look for that, then I
Yeah.
say like, oh yeah, it's
Well,
just God sent the land in the
Mhm.
fullness of time. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of the trick of it
Yeah.
is
Anyways.
because even an English speaker, when they read the sentence, they might have to read it twice because his punctuation isn't very good. If he had added punctuation, it
Okay.
would be much easier to say. So even for me, and that's why I bring it up, because when I read it the first time, I had to go, oh, that's not what I thought, and I
Okay.
have to start again. Yeah. So
Okay.
don't feel bad.
Good.
All right, we'll go back to that. All right, so in the fullness of time, God sent the Lamb, and you said these perfectly, Galatians 4:4 and Titus 2:11. All right, can you read the next sentence?
He lived in a sinless life and thus proved to be spotless and fully qualified as the acceptable sacrifice for sin.
Good. Okay, so he lived, lived. It's almost like it's one sound instead of livid, because livid, Livid, means very angry. So lived
Oh,
a simple
okay.
life, and thus proved.
Lived. He lived.
Proved is an American English past tense.
Okay.
It's also the past participle. Now here, the British would also say proved because it's just simple past, but their past participle is different. They say proven, something that is proven. So if there's a theory, it's been proven, but in American English, we say it's been proved. So this is one place where the British English uses an EN instead of an ED here. Okay. To be spotless and fully qualified as the acceptable sacrifice for sin. Good. All right, can you read the next sentence?
So he died, and by that death, he paid for the sins of the whole world, although the personal appropriation of that payment comes through faith.
Perfect. That was a perfect sentence. Very good. All of your intonation was hit right at the right place. I love it. All right, let's do the last sentence.
He reconciled, no, he reconciled the world to himself, yet to make that applicable to me personally. I have to be reconciled to God through faith. 2 Corinthians 5:19 to 20.
Perfect. Another perfect sentence.
That
All
was
right.
harder.
Yeah, no, you're doing really well though. I'm really pleased with how much you're progressing here in speaking and reading.
Thank you.